The David Knight Show is a critical thinking super spreader. If you've been exposed to logic by listening to the David Knight Show, please do your part and try not to spread it. Financial support or simply telling others about the show causes this dangerous information to spread farther. People have to trust me. Trust the science. Wear your mask. Take your vaccine. Don't ask questions.
Using free speech to free minds. It's the David Knight Show.
It is interesting that some of these people now who have been indicted with all this were not paid. And I pointed that out for a long time. And we all know that Rudy Giuliani was stiffed. But several of them were stiffed, while Trump made $250 million. And in this article from Reuters, they say several of the attorneys who spearheaded Trump's frenzied effort to overturn the results of the 2020 election tried and failed to collect payment for work they did for Trump's political organization. Despite claims of election interference, it helped the Trump campaign. Allied committees raise $250 million in the weeks following the November vote. And as they point out, and as I've pointed out from since before I was fired at InfoWars, one of the reasons, that's the reason why I was fired, by the way, because I posed the grift by both Trump and Alex. What was Alex doing? Raising money would stop the steal. What was that about? He didn't even pretend that he was going to do any legal challenges. Trump pretended he was going to do legal challenges. But if you looked at the agreement, which they don't even cover here in Reuters, I've mentioned it many times, the first $8,000 went to Trump, and he gave a percentage to the RNC. And then if you gave $8,001, the $1 would go to the legal fund. You see? That's how this was skewed. And most of the money that was coming in was small donations. You didn't have people giving more than $8,000 typically. So all these small donors who are out there still cheering Trump on, all their money went to his legal fund and to the Republican National Committee. Trump and Giuliani had a handshake agreement, according to the attorney for longtime Giuliani ally, Bernard Kerik. Let me just say this again. I've called Rudy Giuliani 9/11 Rudy for a long time because he participated in that cover-up in 9/11. Get rid of the evidence. Quick, do it. I don't care if people get exposed to this dust, catch a respiratory illness and die. I don't care. Get rid of that evidence. Do it right now. And who was Bernard Kerik? Well, he was the police commissioner, top cop in New York City when 9/11 happened. So you got the mayor and the top cop who covered up 9/11, literally covered it up, and did not investigate. And they're Trump allies. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? But of course, they were all stiffed. There's no honor among thieves, as they say. So according to Timothy Parlatore, an attorney for Bernard Kerik, the Trump campaign did not honor that handshake agreement. Surprise. Can you imagine? This is a guy who has not only divorced his wives, but thrown them under the bus, who has violated his oath to the Constitution. He, just ripped it to shreds. Who would have thought that it could have been torn up any more than the previous presidents did, but he managed to find a way. And he didn't honor a handshake agreement? I mean, you go back and look at these pictures. They were practically lovers, right? Of Giuliani dressed up in drag for a little parody thing. Oh, but yeah. Trump liked his perfume, but something stinks about this deal. The records show that Giuliani's companies were only reimbursed for travel when he wanted $20,000 a day. I'm sorry, I've seen Rudy Giuliani on talk shows. He isn't worth $20,000 a day. That's the guy. I bet he's sweating now. He had to stop using that hair dye that runs down whenever he sweats. Parlatore told CNBC that the Giuliani operation was never compensated for its work. And according to Parlatore, the failure to pay Giuliani and his team came up last week in a private interview between prosecutors on special counsel Jack Smith's team and Carrick, a member of the Giuliani team, in late 2020. Lawyers and law firms that didn't do anything were paid lots of money, and people that worked there but off got nothing, said Carrick when he complained in 2021. And as they point out in Reuters, no friend of Trump, they say, Trump has a long history of not paying his bills. We know that too. But the revelation that he likely stiffed Giuliani, a longtime friend, is all the more striking given that much of the work that Giuliani did for the Trump organization is detailed in a sprawling RICO indictment in Georgia, where Giuliani is now a co-defendant. So when we look at most of the money that came for this $250 million that Trump made came from small donors. The entire political network of Trump, including his joint fundraising committees, spent $47 million combined from the start of 2020. So the $47 million that they spent on legal fees from the beginning of 2020, they don't break it down as to how much he actually spent contesting the election. That was from the start of 2020 through the end of 2021. That money that was raised by Trump's political operations is instead being used to pay Trump's legal bills in a criminal case against him. Trump's Save America PAC spent over $20 million in the first half of the year alone on legal fees. The PAC began the second half of the year with only $3 million in cash on hand. So he's got to go out there and raise money by, attacking judges and other people like that. See how this just spirals down? As a matter of fact, one person who wrote an op-ed piece said the GOP's got to move on from Trump. He's dragging it down. It's going to be, Democrats are going to have a complete sweep in this. And one of the things he said is that it's not good to have somebody with this much of legal baggage dragging him down. And he says, well, people are going to reply and say, well, we got to stand up and fight this because this is going to set a precedent that they'll bring charges against any Republican that's out there. But Trump brought so much of this stuff on himself. It's his arrogance that he brought on himself. Yes, they will use any means that they can. But also from the practical standpoint, he says, look, just the pragmatics of this. What's Trump going to be spending his money that he raises on? Is he going to be spending it on campaigning and on ads? He's going to be in the courtroom instead of on the campaign trail. He's going to be spending his money on lawyers instead of on any ads. But of course, Trump doesn't have anything to say anyway. I was talking about this with my son last night. I said, look at this. Look at how DeSantis, and it really is, again, this horse race stuff in the polls don't mean that much 6 months away. Anything can happen. But at the current time, definitely momentum has left DeSantis's campaign. And I said, I'm not for DeSantis. I'm not for any of these people. And I'm not. I don't trust him. I don't trust any of them. But I said, it's about the issues. I said, it's sad that the issues that he's chosen to focus on, parental rights, abortion, these other things that Trump and others in the GOP hate so much. I said, it's sad that the voters don't get that. So I don't know if this is about personality or whatever, but you see, Chris Christie is second and number 2 place in New Hampshire. Of course, that's close to where he is in New Jersey. And it's still a distant second to Trump. Ramaswamy is in second place nationally, still a very distant position to Trump. But the issues, CBDC, the first person to bring it up was DeSantis. These issues that I think are very important are not being addressed. Instead, you got people trolling DeSantis, calling him pudding fingers. My son laughed and said, yeah, we can't ever have a president, anybody running for president who ate pudding with their fingers at some point in time. This kind of stuff. And the personal slurs coming from Trump, the juvenile personal slurs. Pudding fingers was one of them coming from his organization. But Trump tweeting out, calling him meatball. You got a problem with him being Italian? Really? And, calling him sanctimonious because of those policies. because of those policies that Trump is on the wrong side. Trump is there with Biden on those policies that he calls DeSantis sanctimonious on. So I find it sad that at this point in time, issues are not going to be discussed. There will be no debate. As I said yesterday, the RNC has never had as a debate condition the fact that you have to sign on to support other candidates if you're not the nominee. Whoever the nominee is, you have to support them. That's never been there. And, Trump came across as very authentic in the fall of 2015 at the first debate for the 2016 election. That was the first question from Bret Baier. He said, no, I won't do it. Rand Paul discredited himself, being a party hack for that. And Trump set himself apart as an independent. So he has that's really the right position, frankly, on that. And he's already done that. But I said, why is that being put in this year? Is that being put in because the RNC made so much money from Trump and he's got pull with them? Put that in as a condition, and then I can have an out so I don't have to go to the debates. I can just sit on the sidelines and call him pudding fingers or whatever. Or I can make fun of Chris Christie being fat. He hasn't figured out a way that he can attack people of color like Ramaswamy and Tim Scott yet. He'll find a way. They're a threat. The common man. They created Common Core to dumb down our children. They created Common Pass to track and control us. Their Commons Project to make sure the commoners own nothing. And the communist future. They see the common man as simple, unsophisticated, ordinary. But each of us has worth and dignity created in the image of God. That is what we have in common. That is what they want to take away. Their most powerful weapons are isolation, deception, intimidation. They desire to know everything about us while they hide everything from us. It's time to turn that around and expose what they want to hide. Please share the information and links you'll find at davidknightshow.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. If you can't support us financially, please keep us in your prayers. davidknightshow.com.